Hello, this is Harold H.B. Bell, and this is The Spectrum. Autism Parent Care brings you this informative conversation. Dr. Jane Dipp and myself are always trying to explore the different, problems, the different encounters that happen when loved ones are dealing with children on autism spectrum, with autism spectrum. Dr. Yip, we've been talking and having some great conversations about relationships, love, too much love for the child. Let's get down to it now because we're talking about the two creators of this child.
Okay.
And some of the issues that they are facing are like none other, I guess, in the relationship world. So let's talk about how that beautiful little baby that was coming and all these dreams we had and his little nursery, boy or girl, pink or blue and all these different things. And now this baby comes and we find out, a year and a half in, that we have a special need child that's gonna need our love every day. What does that do to a relationship?
Yes, well, the thing is, we just talked about parents enabling, overcompensating, and then I think the overcompensating part really comes from the lack in a relationship. When you have a child, your life changes for good. I mean, that's a given. When you have a special needs child, your life change into a twilight zone that you don't even know where you are, because it's like you are taken into a very different world. Twilight zone, really,
Yeah, this is 24/7, 365 days, no break.
No break. And then all your attention, they take a lot of your energy. In fact, they suck the energy out of you. One of the things that happen is that you'd have none left for the bedroom, I'm afraid. So, the lack of love, the lack of connection, intimacy between mom and dad is going to create some kind of emotional void. And since the parent is with the kid anyway, what happens is that the attachment shifts from the partner to the child. And what we have seen is if they have two children, one parent looks after one kid, which is wise, of course, you cannot look after two at the same time. Another parent would look after another kid if they have two children. Then they would form like like the parent-child relationship takes the place of the parent-spouse relationship. When the husband does that and the wife does that, and in same-sex couple, same thing, the same situation can happen, then the two adults who are supposed to be connected to each other are not connected, they are split apart. So then you have a very different family dynamic, a dysfunctional one, which is the parent is almost in love with their child. It's not healthy, and it does create the enabling bond even further. And that is a situation we have seen with our own eyes, and we want to warn people of that. When you have a special needs child, it's the time that you have to focus on your relationship. And of course, all relationship will hit the rock sometimes. And it is a good idea to see a marriage counselor, a relationship counselor on a regular basis. Rather than argue with each other in the privacy of your bedroom, I think my recommendation is you pick a counselor that both of you gravitate towards and you talk it out in front of them. And so that there is at least some kind of referee, because everybody has different takes on it. There are defense mechanisms, there are denial involved with this. So you need a counselor who is skilled in this to help you sort out the problem. Yes, it is an expense, but I think the expense in terms of paying the counselor is really minor compared to the expense that you are going to pay with your life. I've seen this happen, divorces that should not happen, has happened. It is so sad,
And I want to say this just as a male. We have to do better, as you mentioned, to go get some counseling, especially when you're forced to face this reality. Because we find out that most of the men, they just can't handle it, or they don't handle it. as well as most of the mothers who have their children, and that's the maternal part of having a baby. But I also think it's just not men being aware of what their responsibility is now, because we know in any relationship, one person carries more of the load than the other on certain, depending on what it is. Somebody might be the breadwinner, but somebody's at home making sure that the home is better. And so when we start talking about something as serious as autism and it coming into your family, we see most of the men bail out because they cannot handle the stressor, or they cannot handle the detachment that the mother has to give to this child. I mean, I'm still wanting my attention. Well, son, you can't have that attention right now. So we have to get, I think, a special program in just to get men to understand their responsibility and to understand the stay part. We made this problem, or we made this miracle. Let's live with it.
Exactly, yes. And also don't forget the marriage. You are supposed to love one another. Don't forget that marriage.
Yeah, and so, and we were talking about this before we started airing. It is most difficult. We're not saying this is easy, but it is most difficult to try to get back to where you are and grow together, because every relationship, as you mentioned, is going to hit some hard times because the natural growth of the two individuals. And sometimes the husband outgrows the wife for a couple of years and go back to school and get a job. Then the wife comes back and now she's accelerated. And so that's going to cause just a natural problem in a marriage. But then when you throw in this everyday issue that we have to focus on and concentrate on every day, that makes it a little more rough. So we're not saying that this is easy, but there are definitely some things that you can do. Therapy is one of them. What else can we do to try to keep some sense of normalcy in the relationship while we're dealing with this and never dealt with it before?
Respite care. You need time off from the kids, so find a babysitter. Find some time for yourself. Getting respite care is cheaper than getting a divorce.
I can tell you about that. All right, we're gonna end this segment. Thank God. We're ending this segment.